My name is Grace Evelyn Ackerman, and I met Bruce in Washington and became his wife.
Great. So I know that you guys met after the war, but it
Yes.
was pretty soon after he returned,
Mhm.
correct? So let's start out with how, when you learned about this project, when he told you about it, what were your thoughts about his participation and I guess the idea of what this project is?
I don't really remember having any decisive idea, but I think it's a good thing, especially for the veterans, because it gives them a chance to release any tensions they may have regarding the Korean War.
What kind of tensions do you think?
Well, afterthoughts, what they went through, the cold, freezing weather, the being away from their family. And all of this has to have some bearing on them. And like my husband did, he buried his. He never thought about it until in the early 90s when he retired. Then he had time to think about it. And I think this project is going to be good, and it will also be educational to the people who's going to look at it later.
Yeah. Many years afterwards, what was that transition like, being part of his life at that point?
You mean when he started talking about
Yeah,
the
so,
Korean?
yeah.
It was interesting to a certain extent, but it was also very upsetting to think that anyone, not just him, but any of the fellows that was over there, and the girls who were there as nurses and stuff like that, it had to be very, very terrifying,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you were there to help him through it then.
Well, I was hoping I would be able to.
You were, I'm sure.
He stayed with me.
Yeah.
I was working in Washington, D.C., and I was working in the accounting department at the government office when I heard about it. And like most Americans, never even heard of the country.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
And of course, I was much younger, and I was more interested in social life than war talk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I guess throughout the war, did the media cover it at all, or
oh yes, the media did cover it, but like I was 17, I had other things on my mind.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. And you met Bruce pretty soon after.
I
you came
met
back.
Bruce in the fall of 1952, and we were married in December. And that's the first, I think, that I really took any serious thoughts about the Korean War. He did say he was there and he was back, but that was about it. And I'm thankful he got back.
Yeah, later?
Yes, we went over in 2006.
And how was that?
Very enlightening. Of course, when he did talk to us about the Korean War, it was all mud paths and dirt roads and huts. We got over there and it was like going from Syracuse to New York City. It was so modern and beautiful. The churches was out of this world. They are gorgeous. The people, very appreciative, very thankful. The teenagers, very courteous. And I just enjoyed the whole visit.
So when you went over there, you were probably like, Bruce, this isn't what you're telling me about. It's
Well,
a different country.
We had, being members of the Korean War veterans and the auxiliary, we did hear that, from others who'd been there, how much it had improved.
Yeah.
So we weren't completely shocked,
Yeah.
but it was a big surprise.
Yeah.
We did not think it was that far advanced, and the people were just wonderful, very intelligent, very smart, very cordial. I love them.
Yeah. What have you learned not just through your husband, but maybe through interacting with other wives or other family and.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. We don't really discuss that.
Yeah.
It's mostly woman talk.
Yeah.
We have tea or coffee and we gab.
You're not talking about.
We don't talk about the war. Maybe it's because we don't want to know. Maybe it's because we don't want to refresh their memories. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we don't usually talk about it. In the auxiliary, only time we really discuss veterans is when we do think, we're doing things for them. We are very active with the Veterans Hospital, the auxiliary is.
So what do you?
Oh, we have bingo games and the President's Day lunches. And sometimes we used to have picnics. I don't know, they haven't had them lately, and I think that might be a restriction on the hospital because it's taking them away from their jurisdiction, you know what I'm saying? We take them to a park, and sometimes a patient can get hurt.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of put a stop to that. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that's great that you're helping out the community. I mean, the veteran community.
Oh, yes, we do. We send gifts every Christmas. We send gifts down to, we've adopted a certain floor down there. And all the patients there, they get on that floor, get a gift. And we're a small organization. We only have about 17 members. So we can't do the whole hospital as much as we'd like to.
During the actual Korean War, I'm wondering if you have noticed any change in people's citizens' mentality or belief throughout the past 40 or 50 years regarding, war in general, how we.
Well, it's hard to say because some of them, they still think it's a forgotten war.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to wake them up that it was not forgotten is when they keep remembering of all of these young men and women who were injured or killed over there. And that's not only the Americans, but the Koreans as well. Oh, no, we were talking about the hospital, how the auxiliary was trying to do what they could to help the patients there.
And I guess I was talking to this with your husband about how a lot of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan, they have some issues that aren't necessarily dealt with by hospitals or by the military or by the government need to be addressed, such as PTSD or things like that. So I think that's great that you guys.
We try to do, I'm not too much of a volunteer anymore because of, you might say, health reasons. But the girls that do go there, or the ladies that do go there, they don't force the issue of having the veterans talk about their experiences. That is up to the medical personnel to do that because they know how to handle it. We go, or they go, to stay in the hospital a little more happier, a little more comfortable. We take small gifts, they talk to them, they read to them, we have bingo games, things like that. As far as getting them to talk about the war or to advise them to forget about it or whatever, we don't do that. We are volunteers and we follow the code of the volunteer department.
Well, I think it's a great support group.
Yes.
That anyone would appreciate, especially soldiers that are coming home that don't necessarily have that.
The younger ones that, like you say, from Iraq and Afghanistan, they are the young men, and it's a lot harder on them than it is on our veterans because they've lived through it and they are now basically settled. But the young men are having problems because of the medical restrictions. And I don't know just what they are, but I've heard conversations. And I can't repeat them because I can't remember them all. But anyway, I think that and I'm speaking generally, the hospital should be a little bit more addressed to the fact of what these young men and women have gone through. They can't put post-traumatic distress syndrome off on it and say it's just bunk. It's all in his mind. Sure, it's in his mind. But, and I know that the VA hospital here in Syracuse is terrific. I can't find any fault at all with that one there. You have an appointment and you're there within 20 minutes before it, and if you are called by 15 minutes after your appointment, they do something about it. And they're very, very good. And I think even the young men that are going in now, not just the young men, the women too, because they have a women's department here. And they just get tremendous help.
Great.
And it's going to help them, I think, more so than it helped our men, because of the advancement in medicine. They're going to be able to help them.
Great. Well, I think that about sums up all the questions I have.
Right.
And I want to thank you for taking part in this project. We really appreciate you coming by and talking to us.
Glad to do it, and I hope I've been of some help.
Of course, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.